Wayne's World 3, 2, 1. Right, it should be live now. Woo!
I'm waiting for Team Calamity.
It's on the
Oh no,
delay.
no, we are live.
It should be my desktop. It's not working on my one. I think we're
I'll
live.
just restart it.
We are live.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yep.
It's working. Sorry about that. I had some problems. I forgot how to do it, but I've remembered how to do it. Cool. Right. Unfortunately, I've got no music this week. I normally have the little music interlude, but it's not working because I've completely buggered my OBS. But that's fine. We'll give it 30 seconds. If you're live in the chat, feel free to chat along as we do our stream. And other than that, I think we'll just get going because I want to record it. And yeah, we are recording for our podcast player, so the audio version. So we'll do like an official intro any moment. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you'd have gone then. I was like, oh, no, it's disconnected.
We're just going to leave you there. Just leave you sitting
Just leave
there.
me hanging.
Yeah, just leave you just
Yeah.
quiet.
Bye.
Right. Oh, let's get cracking. I've lost the chat again. 2 seconds. Oh, okay, I'll do it without it. I'll have to keep up it. Cool, ready?
Yes.
Hello and welcome to Chat Sith Get Banged, the Team Calamity FFTCG podcast. I am your host, Tom Hall, and today I'm joined by an all Calamity panel. We have Mitch Lander.
Hello.
Peter Sherritt.
Yeah.
And making his first appearance on the podcast, probably our longest standing member of Team Calamity, it's Ben Swanston.
Hello, I'm new. Yay!
Well, welcome to Chat Sith. You may have heard reference to Ben before. We often reference him when we're talking about things. He's known as Golbez Ben, Chocobo Ben. Any other things you're known for, Ben?
Peter started calling me Gift Ben for a little while.
Gift Ben. Used to be Warrior of Light Ben for a while, but now Warriors of Light seem to be good, so it's
I'm not going to play him
pass to
anymore.
someone
Yeah, I
else.
played him this week. That's it. I'm out now.
But yeah, so yeah, this is our podcast. If you listened to our Legend review last time, it'll be slightly different. So with the Legends review, that's all we do. But whereas on our normal podcast, we have some sort of like regular features, which we'll be dipping into and out of. And our main focus for today, we call it like a rate my deck. So we've got a load of different decks which we're going to look at, and we're not really going to rate them. We're just going to looking for inspiration. And I was hoping we'd get some like community submissions with lots of like interesting new ideas and combos. It's mostly Team Calamity submitted decks, which is fun. But they're all a bit different.
Really?
So, yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's,
No,
you know, I
the
think
wall
people
one.
are nervous to share, especially early Opus. I was hoping for some YYT submissions, but I've been told they're all like heavily under lock and like high security. They don't want to share anything, probably because
I'll
they want
wait
to
for the
do
big tournament. Yeah.
for the big tournaments that aren't coming, or they're own like little deck tech, spicy
I
talks.
suppose, yeah, the deck techs are
The deck
good
techs,
to watch.
yeah.
I thought a joke was coming with lock then when you said under lock.
That's
I was
not.
like,
Yeah,
oh,
if I was a better host, that would have been. Maybe I need to prepare some one-liners. So yeah, so Opus 12, we've been going about a week and a bit. How's everybody finding it?
Yeah, cards.
Anyone got
I
anything?
think it's good. I think it's good so far. I'm enjoying quite a few of these decks that you've been testing here as well. So yeah, I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, there's lots of new decks with this new set, so I think that's
Feels
helped.
like it feels like a bit of a slow. I don't know if it's just me. It feels like a bit of a slow burn Opus because normally you would just like spam like hundreds of new decks in the first few weeks, and then you're like, oh, I'm done with the Opus, and then you'll refine it. Whereas this one, I've been slower to sort of build stuff. I don't know if it's just me or if it's the way the set is.
I think it's just you. I've already built 20 decks,
okay.
So you know.
Oh no, I do agree with Tom a bit because we know we've got to wait another 6 months for the next set, so we don't want to like shit out all these ideas and be like, oh, these are brilliant. I'm never going to play them again.
Yeah, but I'm going to be doing that for 6 months anyway. So
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I always consistently build stuff. Just for this one, I don't know if it's the structure of it. If you like look at Opus 11, there was like lots of Final Fantasy 7 sort of running through it, so it was quite easy to be like, oh, I'm going to build this type of 7 deck, or I'm going to build this type of 7 deck. and that kept you busy for
Yeah.
a few weeks. But with this one, it just feels like there's lots of good cards, but nothing really tying them together. That's obvious. So it's like, oh, there's lots of good like wind and earth cards, so there's probably a good wind deck, but like building it's not that obvious, and it's a bit more of a meticulous deck build to do it. That's why I've done this feature this week, so I just nick everyone's ideas, but but yeah.
But yeah, I think that's like based due to the dual element. So, like for example, with Warriors of Light, and you've got Varys, so you think, okay, well, it can only go fire or water now. Same with Gawain and stuff like that. I think they'll forced it down an element, which means it's like less creativity to like previous sets.
Yeah, well,
Don't get me wrong, there was still creativity. Yeah.
Maybe we'll see over all these wonderful decks that we're going to have a look at in a minute. But first, we'll start with one of our more regular features, which is called the Ronso Rage. So this is part of the podcast, is where we talk about things that are pissing us off, for want of a better word, things that are making you angry in the game. We used to do one where someone on the panel would just like moan for a bit, and then we realised it just came across a bit moany. So instead, what I do now is go and like look around what's going on and try and pull out some topics which I think are sort of more general and happening. So I'll rattle these off, and then you can comment if you agree or disagree with them. So the first one, we won't talk about Neo X Death. I think it's been talked to death, and I think the general consensus with Neo X Death is not as big a problem as people feared. So the one that is getting people up is the Guido Barrelai situation. So we've had confirmation from Square that it's not getting errated, and it wasn't an oversight. They're fully aware of the sort of infinite Guido Barrelai ping. So what do we think about that? Is that a problem? Some people aren't happy. They think it's like game breaking.
I don't think it's a problem.
So one no problem. Mitch?
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if someone manages to set up that combo, they deserve to win, to be honest. So I'd happily lose to it if it was a consistent deck. I might feel like differently if we see it like only that deck for the next 3 months, but otherwise, I'm all right with it.
Because PE it's not that consistent, so that's where the issue would lie. So you happy with that as well?
Yeah, that's fine.
We lost Peter.
No, I'm here.
Just chilling.
Just deep in thought.
Yeah, I'm having a drink. Guido Barrelai, right? Yeah. Competitive wise, I don't think it's a problem. I think meta players will have answers to it. Rather sort of a slow setup, and then once you get going, it's about just killing the Barrelai, etc., etc. Local player base wise, though, where just your casual players, I do think it is a bit of a problem. Yes, actually, I do think that it's a bit of an oversight from Square in allowing this, and I think eventually, if it does, if there is a build that someone has figured out to consistently get it out, and I think it could affect the local player base in decks similar to we've had in the past, where there's been a Riku Mill deck or a Jesper, for example. They have been banned for similar reasons. So yeah.
Okay, well, local players should just run their new Fenrir then and just laugh.
Yeah, I do like that new Fenrir actually. Yeah, so maybe we'll call that one a Ronso slightly annoyed. It's got the potential to bubble up.
A Ronso myth.
At the
I'm a bit miffed by that one.
Ronso bit miffed.
I think the Ronso Rage itself has been the year 2020. It's been a bit of a Ronso Rage.
Yeah, well, we did say that at that start of Opus 11 when we did it, and we said we wouldn't do a Ronso Rage for 2020 because it was already crap enough. But it's November, so we need some content. We need something to talk about. Okay, next one. So I've put Knights versus Samurai. So what the consensus with this is people are unhappy that Knights got some new stuff, but it's not really good enough. And at the same time, Samurai, which has only just appeared and has like hardly any cards, has got like a legend which is quite well supports it. Knights is very popular. It's an old school archetype. Lots of people like the actual knight characters, so the fans of Final Fantasy want to see it do well, and it's sort of in a weird place at the moment because the new stuff's good, but it's triple color and it's sort of been a bit spread out. What do we think about? We talk about Knights a lot, I think. What do you think of Knights versus Samurai as a reason to be annoyed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
do
feel
agree, okay.
annoyed. But I think Mitchell probably articulates a bit better than me, to be honest.
I mean, I think that what it stemmed from was like the very first few opuses, they didn't plan this sort of far ahead. I think like knights were literally just thrown into water, earth, lightning. I think maybe even fire from
Yeah,
the
I think
first opus.
Garland was early on, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was, wasn't he? So as I said, from literally the first opus, they have split it up into 4 colors, and even like now, it's just I don't think you can run 4 colors consistently, especially in like knights. I mean, there are things you can do, but then it's just not that good.
No,
Like,
yeah, because the best way to colour fix would be Earth, and Earth only runs deleter, so it's not
yeah.
worth it just for deleter, really, is
Well, I
it?
mean,
No matter
you've got
what version you're playing.
you've got the WAF backups, which can be searched with Goltana, but then so yeah, they've got the Goltana is the searcher in lightning. They've got the power booster in water. They've got probably the most knights. I might be wrong on that, but the most knights in lightning, which again makes sense. But then you've got the color fixers in earth to
Yeah,
make
it's
to
just
play
all
it,
over the
and
place. Yeah,
then they just decided randomly to throw some ones in fire, which is Rain and Garland, and it's like
And that new Jegrin, which plays a princess, which supports the Garland knight,
yeah,
it's just a bit weird. It's just all over the place again, isn't it?
but then yeah, and also the most recent princesses, obviously they're going to be better because they're newer cards, are all wind. Like in the last
So there's
2
actually
sets, all the
4
princesses,
colours.
yeah, all the princesses have been wind. So it's like,
there's the light one as well. Yeah,
oh, I suppose yeah, there's the light one, but then if you don't see Jegrin early, then you'd also want to run Rain. And then you're
yeah.
like, okay, well, so it's just all over the place. It's
Yeah.
I don't really know what they want to do with it.
No, we've seen it with monks as well before. I know that the job talk is sort of got a bit memed in the end, isn't it? Because of the whole monk business that it ends up everyone just trolls online when people mention it. But there is some validity in the job archetype. So the actual core of that argument was not about whether Tifa was a monk or not. It was about that the job system wasn't used properly, and there's too many jobs, and it should be more standard. You'd have a set jobs. Each card would have a small subset of jobs, and it would make deck building sort of better because you could combine even more stuff. So there probably is a lot of validity in sort of that argument. I do see it, even though it does, if you mention it, does get mercilessly trolled about the Tifa stuff. But yeah, jobs needs looking at, particularly knights. I think there's a few job categories that have some issues. Like you said, I think it's just not an oversight. It's just not
They need
a
more
big thing.
support.
Okay, next topic was I mentioned it very briefly because I think it's boring. About pricing, so the price gouging. We saw some crazy stuff going on when the pre-release kits were cracked with the legacy cards. That was just a bit weird. But if you want to pay it, pay it. If you don't want to pay it, don't pay it, and just hope you pull them. But no, generally the prices are not too bad for this game. What I've heard, I don't play other TCGs, but I hear in the other areas it's much more expensive stuff. So Final Fantasy is all right at the moment. It's creeping up slightly, but it is what it is.
Cards are worth whatever someone will pay for it. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if half of the people say no, I don't want to pay like £100 for a card, and then half of them do, the ones that will buy it, and then slowly it will drop.
Yeah.
Because no, it won't be sold. So
yeah.
it will eventually sort itself out.
Yeah, don't get angry about it. Just don't pay it if you don't want to pay it. I did feel bad for Minwi though, because like Locke and Totos were going for like 400 quid, and Minwi was like 50p. So and you wonder as well with that legacy pick, are they trying to tell us that we should be playing Minwu? Is he in this? You know, you got the top tier caliber Locks and Stan Toto, and then Minwu is the other
I
choice.
don't know.
Is he
That was a strange one for me.
Is he viewed by Hobby Japan as that top tier? Maybe he is, and we just overlooked it. I do like it, but yeah. Okay, next topic was Untap versus Octagon has come up a bit. I think it's just because people were forced to play with Untap because Octagon wasn't ready. Again, I don't want to dwell on this too long. Everyone has their preference. The only thing I would say is, I know you'll all say you don't like Untap, but I know some people like it. I guess we should be happy that we've got 2 ways of playing online. and it's probably keeping the game going. Otherwise it'd be in a real bad spot. So we should be thankful for both. But I would probably say if you're organising virtual tournaments and stuff, I would prefer if you just pick one format and say this is what it is. So do an Octagon tournament or do an Untapped tournament, and don't mix them up.
Yeah.
I know people say it's not very inclusive, but I think that's the way to go. Just say outright, do it on Octagon tournament. If people want to join, they join, and then just stop the mess. I think everyone agree with that.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, right. The last one. This is the spicy, controversial topic, but it's got a bit of a blurb into it, and I'll see what you think. So there was Opus 12 drop. There was a lot of chat around game representation again. So usually Final Fantasy VIII leads the way on this. People complaining there's not enough Final Fantasy VIII cards, or there's no cards again. Various other categories get it. It tends to be, Final Fantasy X. You see more of the Gold Wings, which is X2, which I don't think is the most popular Final Fantasy X game. Like, everyone prefers the original. Like, to various other things, some games get a lot, some games don't get much. Some games get multiples of the same thing. Like, so obviously 14 at the moment is, it's a current game, so it would. And people are not happy with that because they think there should be more spread. So what that's been going on, we've talked about that before. It's a thing. There's not much you can do about it. But what was interesting was, I don't know if any of you read this. There was an article which was like an interview with one of the head producers. It was on like one of the Hobby Japan or Card Gamer Magazine Japan website. There's an interview with a guy, and he was basically the lead producer for FFTCG. And what he said was that he was responsible. It wasn't Kageyama, it was someone else. I can't remember his name, but he was responsible for coming up with the card effects. So he would create the new cards, and then it would be passed to Kageyama. He would approve the effects, but then he would be in charge of assigning the effect to a certain character card in line with the sort of lore of the game, that kind of thing. And so it did make me think, but has the game got to a point now where maybe having one person in charge of like the card flavor is starting to hinder the game a bit? And clearly Kageyama has probably, I would suggest he's probably not really played Final Fantasy VIII, or he doesn't really like it, and other games which get sort of hidden away, he's not that familiar with them. He's said before Final Fantasy VI is his favorite, and you see a lot of like banging 6 cards, and they're like the category is immensely powerful. Do you think it's maybe being biased a little bit too much, and they need to start getting more people into that conversation? What do we think?
Oh,
Yeah, who you name that to first?
Well, just am I going off on a tangent, or is there something in it? Well, I'll just add to it, and I've been talking a lot about it. So the other thing he noted in the interview, what made this version of the game, so the Opus version versus the Chapters series, which they had before, was that it was a game for new people and old people. So they wanted to bring people who are fans of Final Fantasy into the game and have fun with it, but also they wanted to appeal to a sort of TCG player who's more into proper TCGs, that kind of thing, and the gameplay. So I know you see it in the community. There's a lot of people who enjoy the game because they like TCGs and they think this is a good one, and then there's equally as many who like Final Fantasy and want to play Final Fantasy. So it feels like they're starting to cater more to the game side rather than the fan side, and I wonder if they should start looking at more people to spread it a bit. Mitchell, you're big in the lore and the game side of it. What do you think?
Firstly, I would say firstly triggered. No, I think keeping it to one person is probably the best way. Only because I think if you get too many people, you're going to get too many ideas of how you want to do things, and I think keeping like it's a way that I think a lot of Japanese companies work, and especially Square. Like they have one like. I don't want to say big brain, but it's like someone who leads the vision, and that'll be Kageyama. And his big idea is going through all of that. So I think if they got too many people's ideas, it would really affect the game, at least from like the character side. But as for the like splitting up of the game and like allocating it not fairly, I can see what you mean on it, but what they've done, and I think they've screwed themselves over, is they've done for example, 10 and 10.2 count as category 10, when in their eyes they're different games. Like, so they'll release a set that is based on 10.2, but is also just supporting 10 in that same way. Right, we see it as just a supporting 10, but they're saying, oh, this is all 10.2. Like 14's come out, and that's I believe it's Shadowbringers, which is like one of the new sets, and then they're basing everything on that, when in fact it also supports all the other 14. So everyone's thinking, oh, we've got tons of 14 cards. We've got like, I don't know, say 100 and something odd 14 cards, and then only like 70 FF8 cards. But that's because they're doing different versions of the game. Like, I'm surprised there's not more 13 ones, because you've got 13, 13.2 and 13.3.
Yeah.
I think that's what they've done like wrong. They're sort of, and like, for example, at the FF7 that came out last set, that was to promote the remake. That's why all the artwork was the new games. It's because it's all forced like down that route.
Yeah, that's fair. Because
But
even in that, you've had Crisis Core, Advent Children.
yeah,
So it's like the 7 world, but there's
Yeah.
lots of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, that is quite an interesting point, actually. That said, I'd like to see more 8 characters.
yeah, they just need
They've
to
not tapped
release
into
an
the
8
world.
sequel.
Yeah, I know 8 is popular. 8 is
FF8
popular.
2.
FF8 too. They did talk about doing a possible remake. They were going to like change it, but yeah, I think that's a long way off. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
They
So
got the cash cow.
I do understand what you're saying about having one in control, and I think that's what I like. That's what they're doing with the effects and stuff, and having the vision. But yeah, I just think someone needs to sort of tap them on the shoulder and say, look, let's spread it a bit and spread it out. We need more than just Cypher, Renoa, and Squall, really. Because
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and it's the same with FF9. Like, because you know how much I love FF9, but we've had Zidane, Garnet, pretty much, and that's it. And it was only this set we got like someone like slightly out there with Blarney. We still haven't got a good FF9 backup, not called Vivi, like in any element other than water. But
yeah, lots of icos, which is like the thing you need,
Yeah.
and it's all the icos do a different thing that you need for the deck. So
yeah, but as I said,
yeah.
I think I think that will come in time. Like you'll get your like, was it Guardian Norg coming in?
Guardian Dog.
What his
What's
name is?
Sid Kramer? Sid Kramer.
Sid
That's
Kramer
what we
as
need.
well.
Headmaster Sid. He's quite a big character in the game. It's silly, but yeah, cool. All right. Well, I think we've raised enough. But yeah, there's a few topics there, so I'll keep my eyes peeled for next time. See what's getting. Hopefully, it'll be a shorter list this time because we want everyone to be happy. So let's move into our main topic, which is looking at decks. So I said that we've got quite a few submissions to look at. So now the idea of these, we call it rate my deck, but the idea is we're not just going to like roast them and stuff. We wanted to just use them as see what we've got. There's some different ideas that people have come up with. Hopefully it might give us some inspiration, give you some inspiration, see some different things that people are doing or thinking of. So we're going to start with this was George from Team Calamity. So thanks George for your list. So this is he calls it barrel IRP. So it's basically a new take on YRP. So I'll have the decks up if you're watching on YouTube and stuff. Obviously, I'll have the decks on screen. If you're listening, I'll try and give you a flavour of it because you won't be able to see them, and I'll try and link all the decks in our sort of episode description page. But yeah, so what the barrel YRP is, it's a new take on YRP. So obviously we've got the ice. So this is an ice, wind, water deck. So obviously utilising the new Riku, which is ice, wind, the barrel eye ping, because obviously he's category 10, and then he has gone for the Yuna 5-drop removed from game 1, I guess because he wants to counter things like Regis and stuff like that, which are sort of coming about. And what is the P bit? The pain, yeah, so he's gone for classic starter pain, which is sort of an old staple. So what do we think of barrel YRP? What do you think of it as a concept? I know we sort of discussed this deck a little bit. We've been testing them out. People think there's a couple of issues with the actual deck itself, but as a concept, what do we think of barrel YRP?
Yeah, I think you're talking about a top tier deck, obviously, with water. Been around a long while, and I think instantly you look at the text of Barrel Eye, and it marries very well with the Valfor Diabolos. I think if there was an easy way to to make this marry together, everyone would be playing it right now, but there isn't. And I did play this yesterday, and I felt like the 5-drop Una, although it's good in some matchups, it was a bit. I preferred the 2-drop if you aren't going to run the new Una, which is also very good. There was too many ashes. There's so many ashes.
You did have a lot of ashes, yeah.
There was a lot, and I was like looking at, I had an ash on board, and I was drawing ashes. I was like, oh my god. And yeah, I think I would do it in a different way, and I wouldn't have the Varn as well. When I played a Varn, I already had my 3-drops on board, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough 3-drop targets for the Varn. He's just run one of the starter Varn, but there's not really got the 3-drop targets. It's a bit of, I know he likes Varn, so it's more of a, I want to play a Varn.
It was fun though. It was fun to play. I tested this yesterday. I mean, the reason I think I did win a game of it is just because of the shenanigans that it does. You know, the normal Diabolos, Foul 4, Pain, Draw stuff. It was and Tidus as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good concept. I like the concept. Mitch, what would do you think the putting the barrel eye into the YRP, should it be a real, he sort of spread here across the 3 colours? Do you think it should be more of a wind water and then you slip barrel eye in some way?
See,
or you're not buying it?
I'm just working out, like, as Peter said, if there was an easy way to do it, then everyone would be doing it. I don't think there is an easy way to do it. Like,
I think maybe you've got to maximise the YRP bits. I think the 5-drop Una isn't great for that. The Riku is not good at all for that. Having a forward Riku as part of the combo, you need them sat on the back line, don't you? So even though the Riku's new and fun, it needs to be on the back line to maximise the thing. Well, I was sort of saying maybe not that starter Pain. I'd try the new Pain. But
that's what I was going to say, is play the 4-drop Pain.
I was thinking the 4-drop Pain.
Because it activates
What's that do?
If you've got 3 FF10 characters, I think it is, then you activate all your backups.
So that's coming in and barrel line and stuff. Yeah, that was my thought. And then just decide on the ashes and stuff. He's gone for some Blitz Ace as well, which probably isn't geared up for this.
Yeah.
I'd probably just focus on the other Tidus and bounce stuff and replay it. So you can like bounce your Pain and replay it down and get your barrel eye going and stuff like that.
The way he seems to have built it is that he wants to go FF10 focused. So I'd say the 4-drop hero Opus 10 Tidus is the best one because it gives all FF10 4s a boost.
Yeah. So he's got 2 of them and then 2 of the Blitz Ace. So it's like, I'd probably just go. So I think we'll move on to this one. General concept I think is good. I'd like to see this developed. I think the concept is cool.
Good concept.
So that's quite nice. I like that. Ben, you didn't have much to say on that one. Let's pick one that Ben likes. Let's have a look at WoW. So there's lots of WoW decks. We won't spend too long on this one because it's a little bit one-dimensional. So this was a non-Calamity one. We had a Calamity WoW deck, and then Michael McMillan sent us this one and said this is the best WoW deck. So big claims from Michael. Let's see. So this is triple color. It's Warrior of Lights. It's pretty much the same as your one, Mitch. To be honest, we've got Ritz in there. We've got all of the new ones. So Aegis, Faris, a couple of Lanis have come in there. The Soul. So Soul is what he's telling me is the card that drives this deck. Mitch, you've been playing Warrior of Lights. You've probably got a similar sort of deck construct to this. What was your value? You played it at our locals actually for last week.
Yeah, it's good at spamming. It's not good at removing threats. Me personally, I don't know if anyone else has it, but I always struggle knowing when to play Faris. Like if you play it early, you're not going to get much value out of it because you've just used basically your hand to play it. Or if you have a big hand, then you're fine. But when do you ever have that? So playing Faris, if you play Faris late, then you do like a ping of, say, you can do up to like 8 to 10k, but you're only killing one forward, and you need to be killing loads in this sort of meta because everything spams very quickly. So the deck is good because it goes wide really easily and it can spam quite well. It's just the rest of the even with the legend, I'm just not sure how it fits. I was interested in the Cryo though. the Earth. It makes me think that maybe it can go down that route
So
of
yeah, actually
Earth as
this is,
well.
so he's put one Kryl in. This draws us up to you. Oh, Kryl's not working on the site. There we go. So this draws us to you, Ben, because you did a triple colour wall, and it was on our like featured game from our other YouTube video. So you took it triple colour, so with the Earth. Is that?
Yeah, I always like the boosters as well, so that was kind of important for me. But I think against what Mitch said, I want to play the ferret out early so that I can then play cheaper ones down, and then that'll reduce the cost of the more expensive ones, which will then play other ones for cheaper, and then you can do a big ping, or you can do a few more pings along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at
I said
Kryl again.
I think going
People
down
are
the
talking a lot about Kryl, aren't they? It's sort of as
Yeah,
underrated.
yeah, Cryo's good, and with the light wall, you can get it back if you need to at a certain point to help clear things, and it's handy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So where do
I
we think?
undervalued
Where do we
Cryo
think
myself.
Wall's going to sit in the when things get rolling? We're going to have like a meta tier list. Is this the one that pushes Wall this set? Is this the one that pushes it into the top, or do you think it's going to be like a
I don't think it'll be top.
sort
I
of
think it might be like next step down slightly, maybe.
what do we compare it to? Like Waff tier that was like at the top but not quite. Or is Waff much
no
more impactful than this? Way more
was
impactful
far
than
more.
this.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
say
I'm
this
sorry, you can't compare WAF to this. I'm
I'm
sorry.
trying to think of. I'm not comparing it to Waff. I'm trying to think in terms of like Waff was at the top
ninjas.
but not quite on the top, or is it a bit
Yeah.
below that? Ninjas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe like ninjas. Yeah, because if you come up against this and you haven't got an answer for it, then you're going to be panicking, aren't you? A bit like with ninjas.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say for it is when we did some test games yesterday, I was playing you with this, Mitch. I drew very badly, so I only had one backup, which was Sarah, and the only cards I really played were Marsh and Ritz. I full paid for them with one backup, and then that did quite a few damages, and then I paid the rest for Abraska's Aeon. And I think that's the only three forwards. I had four cards on the board. One was the Sarah backup, Marsh, Ritz, and Abraska, and I won quite easily. So for that reason, I don't like this deck because it just
I
relies.
mean,
You can easily just
if,
rely on them.
Me and Peter played this earlier, and I was playing this deck, and I got to quite a few forwards, and then he spanked down stuff that just wiped my board, and then I played some more down, and it was pretty back and forwards, to be fair. But I tried not to play the Braska when I had it.
in a Warrior of Light deck,
that.
Tom played 3 of the 4 cards in the deck that aren't.
It was an easy win as well.
And it runs 29 forwards.
It runs 29 forwards, yeah, and I only played 3 of them, and none of them were lights, and it was the easiest win that I've had recently. So I mean, I was going to Ronso rage about Marsh Ritz just because everyone's still playing them, and yes, I get that they're good, but it's just a bit boring. So I remember our first game, Mitch. It was your first turn. In fact, all the games I've played with you recently, your first turn is Mont Blanc, Search Marsh, and then you play the Ritz the next turn. It's like, come on, man, we've had a whole year of this Opus playing this.
Yeah, but Warrior Lights needs it. That's why it's been run. And
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
proof here
I
because
completely agree.
me and Michael
Yeah.
both run it because it needs that.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I do know what you're saying because it gives the deck it improves it and needs it, but unfortunately they're at a state where they're that good that they can just carry it, which is what I was alluding to, which sort of ruins it a bit. Okay, that's enough of
Shout out
Walls.
to Michael though, because he's doing a podcast as well. Him,
The Scuffed
Kush,
podcast,
Graham,
yeah.
and Jenny. They're doing a podcast.
Scuffed podcast. I think it's called Meme FM is their tag on YouTube. To go and check them out.
Yeah.
They've just done their recent episode, which I think they were talking about cards that they liked and disliked in the Opus. Definitely check that one out. Okay, next we have a quick look at this because it's been again it was hyped because it was on our feature video, which is the Thancred Water Lightning. So this is a sort of old school Water Lightning mix in many ways, but it's been spiced up with the new Thancred and the new mid-Previa, Sid Previa forward engine. So this is very much a party attacking deck using Laylas and Vikings to spam your board, and then Una comes down, party attacks, Thancred starts removing things. It got a lot of love when we sort of streamed our feature game for this, and people were quite interested in it. Thancred was massively hyped. I'm now being told it's not as good as it was. What do we think of the Thancred party deck?
It spanked me down, but
yeah,
I wasn't scared of it at all at any point.
I think the only thing about it, like now, is that if you play down, you have to remove your opponent's forwards if you're playing against this deck, because even if they've just got sitting there with a Layla Viking, normally you just be like, okay, well, I'll just slap down a forward. It's fine. That's fine. Nothing to worry about. But now with that Sid mid Previa, even the Layla and Viking can party up and kill an 8k because of it. So it puts a threat onto those older the older forwards that you used to be able to just sit there and not worry about. So I said I like it. Maybe Thancred doesn't need to be run at 3, but I don't see a problem with it being at 3. It's a good card. It's not as good as everyone thought, but then we all thought Krill was bad, and look how good that is.
I think people made mistakes on the review, didn't they, last time? So.
Well, again, we got people were moaning us about the review. The review was always as it is. You can, because we have to category some cards have to be a C, and not everything can just be S tier. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. But I rated Krill quite high, actually, if I remember rightly. So
look at that! Look at that!
I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Thancred. Where do we think Thancred's going to sit? Watching our stream of it, it looked like it was like this unstoppable beast. But where do we think that's going to sit? I think it will get played. I think people will like it. It looks quite fun to play. Do you think it's going to sit high, or she's going to drop off ultimately when it comes to the top end crunch?
When it comes to the crunch, I think the Warriors of Light is going to be over this. I think.
No, I don't agree.
No, I think this is better, and I also think it's got more flexibility than Warriors of Light.
Yeah,
it's got more flexibility, but you were all wrong about Krill as well. So.
It's true.
By more flexibility, you're saying this deck can be optimized better.
Well, it's not. No, I don't mean not optimized better.
Just you can do it slightly different.
I don't say that. I don't say that to people, but
I'm just trying to trigger Aslan. But yeah, no, I think it's good. It's a good list. It's very for the list itself. I think it is very well optimized, and it does exactly what it needs to do, and it's good. It's a good list.
Yeah. I mean, Water Lightning is popular. Water Lightning is popular, so you could even run the old Agrius deck. It might be a bit.
That is literally what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, there's lots of ways you can go down with Water Lightning. So it's just however you want to try and play it yourself.
So I see Alan has joined us. Alan from Team Calamity, new member of Team Calamity, joined us. So let's look at his ones. So we've looked at some new things. This is almost a little taste of the old stuff. So Alan has sent us a couple of decks which are sort of old formats which he thinks are making a return. So the first one is Mono Ice, and Alan is big man for Mono Ice. He says that's his go-to deck, and every Opus he tries to sort of re-optimize it for the new Opus. So this is his Mono Ice deck. So it's heavy discard. I will go through the ones. It's fairly standard. The thing that stands out for me for this deck is the backup line. There's lots. Excuse me. There's lots of one-offs. So all the 2-drop backups are at 1. A lot of the 3-drop backups are 1, and there's a 29 forwards in this one, so it's discard heavy. The Opus 12 stuff we've got here are Ulmia, obviously for the boost, and being able to haste ice, which is a bit nasty. Eschental, so that's the one where it returns to your hand and plays a 7 cross down. Then the Emmet Selk, which is the one that sort of removes itself when it's targeted. So what do we think? I'm going to go to you, Peter, because obviously you were the UK champ with Mono Ice. You went to Worlds as like the UK's best mono ice player at the time. So what do we think of mono ice in the current format? Now, what do you think of Alan's take on it?
This
He's watching,
mono
remember?
ice, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. Me and Alan spoke about this the other day, so I don't feel bad for saying this, but yeah. Then the backup, you got Harley and Edward. I think that's pretty staple in mono ice. I like that he's gone for the Eduardo there, just for the. I think that's quite a cool card. He's playing free because he wants to be a brave man. He wants to get the special off. That's what I like. I like that.
You got a
But
dream,
no,
haven't you?
I don't know. I think mono ice has kind of lost its way. This version, ice is just such a good element to combo with other elements. So, like, unless you're playing the remnants version of mono ice, where you're slamming down like Kadar, search a remnant, and then play like backups to discard your opponent and things. Yeah, this version isn't as strong, and it's just way too slow. I mean, there could be something to be said about the other new card, Crystal Exarch.
Yes,
I tried that earlier.
Yeah, that was one of
And
my
it was
things. I
very
was gonna,
slow as well.
I was
It was
gonna
very
comment.
slow.
I would probably try the Crystal Exarch, but then as you said, if it's very
I
slow,
like
it's
though.
hard
I
to
like
know.
that he wants to try a lot of new cards, so he tried to play a lot of new cards here. And
I mean, it's not that slow,
yeah.
is it? It just has to survive till main phase 2, and then
Yeah.
you'll get some
Right,
stuff out of it.
I didn't mean it in that way, but yeah, it is essentially. I would prefer. I like this I can't even pronounce it. Eshen tile. Yeah, I like that actually. I like that. It's a good card.
Yeah, I don't know if he's not maximised the plays from it. I know people were talking about, I'll just slam Braska in it. Braska's Aeon as your 7. Obviously, he's going here for the 3 Sephiroths, because you can just slam down a Sephiroth, which is a bit nasty as well in its own right. There's a lot of Sephiroths in here as well. So we've got 3 of the big one, 2 of the dark one. There's a lot of dark Seths. What's it called? Dark Flare? Something like that.
Shadow Flare.
So,
Shadow Flare. Yeah, you could make a Shadow Flare deck still, probably. Yeah.
Yes. The card game masters in the chat is saying he's called out the sort of Kadaj, Cloud versus Sephiroth Kadaj sort of deck, which is the Remnant one. So the Remnants are busted. The last Opus,
definitely.
They are busted when you get them rolling. So if you combine that with the discard, I know you mentioned the Scuff podcast a minute ago, so they were talking about a Turbo Ice sort of return, which was using Remnants, Neo X Def, and just like discard heavy. So you Neo X Def them, but at the same time you're hitting their hand. So even if they do, they just can't respond to it. And it sounds potentially quite toxic. So yeah, seeing the set, I did think Ice could make a return. So he got some cool stuff. So it's interesting to see if Alan plays this. If he comes Friday to Calamity, he'll probably smash the crap out of us with this. So yeah,
just for a change.
just for a change. Yeah.
The next one you're going to show his Fire Ice will be the one.
Yeah, let's look at Alan's Fire Ice as well.
Yeah, because that's very strong.
This is let me go to this one. So this is Fire Ice. So again, this is another very strong looking deck. The only thing you'll probably say is it's not massively Opus 12y. So there's nothing particularly amazing. And again, another forward heavy. So 28 forwards. So the forward count is moving up. So then, yeah, this one is a classic FF6 Fire Ice. So you've got the locks and Gestali and Sid to search it, Shadow, Interceptor, all of that stuff. The Opus 12isms, there's not that much in this actually. So you've got Marsh Ritz in here for obvious reasons. What is there for Opus 12 actually, looking at it? Emmett Silk, one of Celsius. So we got the Celsius. Peter, you quite liked a Celsius.
Honestly, I rated this card I think a bit lower. Like Cryo, I was wrong. I'm not ashamed to admit that. This is a really good card for Fire Ice because kind of what the deck doesn't do as much is like kind of spam the board in a certain stage in the game, and this kind of allows you to do that with cards that you've already dumped and you're not going to get back other than your locks that are in there, which you can retrieve via Setzer. This card is very strong. Don't underestimate this card.
Anyone got anything to add on the fire ice? I think it looks strong. Maybe it's just not that spicy.
There's nothing much else to add on to it.
Amaratarasu is the other thing to call
Amaterasu.
out. This is it's very powerful. I'm not sure how good it is in the moment. I think it's good when
Well,
it
this
hits.
is a March Ritz build as well.
Okay, so you've got the
FFTCG.
activating for it, so it's that
Yeah.
does make it much better. I think it's the Amaratsu. I think it's really good, but it will really hurt you when someone hits you with it. But it's a weird one to like hang on to and have to keep it ready. So yeah, we'll see how much. I think it's got the potential to have a big impact on the game, but at the same time, it's a little bit. I find it potentially a little bit clunky. So we'll see how it runs. What do you think, Ben and Mitch? So Alan's gone for 2 of the Amaratsu. Would you go for this if you're playing Fire? 3, 1 of? Do you hang on to it from the start if you've got it early?
I think if you've got it early, you've got to hang on to it, but I don't think I'd want to put 3 in.
See, whereas I genuinely love this card. Every time I have it in my hand, I'm like,
yes, I've got it.
I'm gonna stop something and it's gonna ruin them. So I actually quite like it at 3.
It can potentially swing a game, can't it? Just off one. One auto cancel.
Like if someone plays like for Sawyer and chooses your forward, they've paid 7 for a dead forward, and that's like the same with Sephiroth and all of that. It's just such a good card, and as I said, I saw a lot of people disliked it to start with, but the power of it is just crazy. I'm not too keen on getting with cards to get it back, like Terra and Citra and all of those sort of things, because your opponent knows you have it. But I do like it when you just draw it. So that's why I would think I'd run it at 3 and maybe without a searcher, just so then your opponent will never know when you've actually got it in hand.
Oh, that one hasn't worked. Close that. I'm going to think. We just looked at one that's maybe not as spicy. I'm going to look at something a little bit more spicy. Oh, Pete, you've changed your deck. You've deleted your Shikari Paradise.
Oh, sorry, man.
It's gone. Okay, the link's gone. Okay, we'll just. I'm going to
I'm
mention
going to
it as a
describe
deck.
it to you. There's a lot of cards in this.
There's a lot of cards.
There's some
in
wind
it.
cards and some earth cards.
Okay, let's talk very quickly about it. I know MogPod did a thing on it. So the Shikaris, all I know about them is they're just ridiculous cards. So let's
bring them up on
bringing them up.
FFTCG.
They're up.
Yeah.
So we've got the XYZ. So what happens with these? Obviously, if you get all 3 of them attacking as a party, one of them has an ability that you deal your opponent 3 points of damage. But then also, like Shikari Y activates all the backups when another one comes in, and then you've got the other one draws when all the backups come in. So what here is like a top tier meme deck, I think is how MogPod described it, because you could potentially set your combos up so that you can continually bounce and replay something to activate, so you can bounce and replay the other one, so your backups are activating, playing everything for nothing, and then drawing. So you just draw through your deck until you get your Eldnash and then you Paradise and win the game. What do we think of the Shikaris? It sounds like it could be a potentially like Yu-Gi-Oh territory of like 1-turn kills and all this stuff. Is this a big problem? They're quite hard to kill as well because they all pump each other by 2k. And there's no real response window when they come in to hit them at 5k. Mitch, I mean, Pete, you've been playing this. You built your deck. Obviously, we can't show it because it's broken, but you think it's fun. MogPod think it's fun and powerful. Mitch, Ben, are you worried about Ben? It sounds like something you would play. Shikaris.
Yeah, I mean, George said he wanted to play it, so I avoided it for a little while, but I'll give it a go. When I played it against Peter, it was fun watching him cycle through all of his deck. And I still had like 30 cards in my deck, and he was down to like 8. But and when George played it, he got them out and then just started swinging with them. He didn't bother trying to cycle them back to his hand or anything.
He was just holding on for the big.
Yeah, it's one that they're good cards. They're going to be fun to play.
People are going to get stomped by them, and then people are going to deal with them at the same time. I think, aren't they?
You just need to deal with the first one as soon as it comes in, and then just keep dealing them with it when they come in. They're only 2 drops. Just play Shadow Lord.
Shadow Lord. Yeah, Shadow Lord's not a bad answer, really, is it? I mean, we talked about the Guido Barrelite as it's very strong, but the setup's too high. Is it similar for Shikari, or is it just a little bit more consistent?
I think it's more consistent, and plus you draw in or getting your CP back anyway. So
I think a lot of decks have big tells at the moment of what's coming. So, like, for example, Guido Barreleye. If someone drops a Barreleye, no one would run in that card. No one would run that card apart from in that deck. I think this is the same because people run in Talika in this deck to make these all 1-drops. And if you see that Talika, which needs to come down before these come down really to get the plays off, then you know what deck you're coming up against, and it gives you time to prepare for them to come down. So it's just, if you know, like, if you have an out to it, then you should be fine against this deck. It's just you have to make sure you can see it, or just be prepared knowing that it is a deck that's around.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those, without big tournaments, it's hard to know the impact, isn't it? Because it's very much like Neo X Def sort of deck. You'll see it at tournaments probably, and if you haven't prepared for it, you're going to get wrecked by it.
People always play a deck like that at a tournament just for the surprise, like haste decks and gold bez decks.
Yeah. So I'm going to look at the next one. So this was actually, it's not a deck that was submitted to us, but someone asked us. Nathan on Facebook said he wants to see a Cloud 2-drop. So the starter Cloud deck utilizing. So obviously Cloud was the Opus XI starter. So when it puts something into the break zone and then plays another card with a cost higher. So you wanted to see that utilized with the Regis sort of recyclability. So Mitch, you threw this together sort of unashamedly quite quickly just to sort of demonstrate the idea. So I taught this one more as a concept. So it's Earth Lightning, and we've got Card Game Masters in the chat. It's been talking about Fire Earth FF7 as his like favorite deck. So this is for you because it's not no colors, but this fits nicely for you. So yeah, this is 7 features. We've got Rufus and the Turks in Lightning. Obviously, they've got some break abilities because when they die, Rufus does the ping. So if you can reach that back, it's not bad. And then using Starter Barrett, Big Tifa, 2 Regis. I mean, the deck, we didn't take very long to build this as a concept. There's lots of Earth Lightning you could do. I feel Regis is better with the FF15, like the Kingsglaive. I mean, that's what he's sort of flavoured for. What do you think of Cloud? I didn't really use the Starter Cloud. Then Ben, you probably ran Starter Cloud. What do you think of it as a concept?
I only ran it in a gold bez deck, and it was pretty fun in that. Sacking himself to get Sephiroth, but even more pressure on was fun. This is an interesting deck. It could be fun. I think you'd scare your opponent with it because they'd be like, "What's going on?"
The only thing I'd say about it is the because it's Cloud, that light Cloud from Opus 11 is just so good for F7 decks. So it's like a bit of a shame to lose out on that, to have to play the starter one.
Yeah, but I think the Aerith's better than the light Cloud though. So
yes, we've got the light Aerith in here. Mitch, you threw this together. What was your thinking? Are you trying to maximise? There's the only problem with the Turks is you get the ping, but you need the backups to get the ping because the other forwards are quite sticky. They're quite big and fast, so you're not really going to be. Oh, you haven't even got a Rude in here. Oh, yeah, I've got backup Rude.
Yeah, it's just
that's the power boost.
It's just the value you can get off of it because you can play use Cloud to, I don't know, break Rufus or something like that to play Tifa, and then it gets Brave. You can then a lure special to break something else like even the Cloud. To be fair, to get then you can get I don't know, a Reno or even a Galoof or something like that, and then play Regis, and then you've got all your forwards that you've just lost back, and you've just spammed 5 forwards onto the field for not really much, to be honest. It doesn't really cost you anything. Maybe a lure special, unless even if you want to. So, and Rufus will also search you a card, and now everything is Brave. So, I said the potential is there. I said I don't think I really did it that much justice.
No.
I think there's a better way to do this deck, but
It's just quickly thrown together. But
yeah,
I think the concept. Yeah, I think you're right. And a couple of people in the chat are saying how much they really like Starter Cloud. So that, there's a will, and I think that's reciprocated elsewhere. So I think people really like it. So this is something to look into. And again, because you're in Earth, you don't even need to worry about the lightning part. You could go down a different route, different colours, because Regis is so easy to sort of tap into in Earth because of like Tyro and things like that. So yeah, that's cool. Nice concept. I'd like to see some more of that. Cool. So that one's okay. We'll do this one last. Mitch, you want to do your fire wind one, or should we look at the Prish one? I'm gonna look at Prish first. Maybe we'll do both.
we can look at. Yeah, we can do.
So this is one Ben scouted from Japan. I'm not sure which player it was, but it's a Prish deck, so it obviously gets a big thumbs up for me. It's lovely, easy to fit it on the screen as well because there's like hardly any forwards. So Prish tends to come and go, has a little bit of now and then it does something. It is one of my favourite cards. So this deck is a mono earth. So if you're listening and you can't see the decks, it's mono earth. We've got 3 Neo X Def, lots of ways to search Neo X Def. So the other 4 is a good Bramp to search it as a Spiritus. And then the rest of the cards, we've got Kryl as well at 3. The rest of the cards are all called Prish. We've got the newer Prish, which searches a Neo X Def, of course. And then the sort of classic 2-drop Prish, which pings into your 6-drop, and then you've got the 9-drop for power or the specials. I'm a big fan of Prish decks. We played this one a couple of times yesterday, me and Mitch. I thought it was well fun, even though it's not fun because it's all about playing X-Def.
Yeah,
I was going to say this looks
you made
boring
Mitch
to me.
cry. You made Mitch cry.
It was funny. It was funny. Maybe not fun is the wrong word. It was funny to play it just because at times it felt like it broke the game a bit because particularly with Earth, you can play Neo X Def without really hurting your hand because you're ramping your backups and getting all your cards back to hand. It was a little bit toxic. I mean, I was wanting to build a Prish deck myself, but I won't go down the X Def route because I don't really want to play that card. But yeah, I was sort of looking at with Regis again and stuff. So if you can get when Prishes die and then they think they finally got rid of him, you can Regis him back. Well, that'd be quite funny. But yeah, this Prish deck was really good actually. So if you want something a bit different, I think there's a case for mono earth. This opus, there's a lot of earth tools. I think some of the decks are going spammy and fast. Others are going more controlling, and I think earth can now sit in the middle. And it's got these sort of the dual color tools like that Y'shtola and stuff. I was calling out the backup. I forget what it's called. It's the new earth backup that taps to bring back a 4-drop earth forward from your break zone, and it's not restricted to like a certain phase or on your turn, so you can use it as like a sneaky drop your Y'shtola back on the board to swing for game sort of thing. So I think it's cool. I think Earth has got potential to make a big impact this set. What do we think of maybe not Prish then, but like mono Earth or Earth with a bit of splash?
Yeah, I love mono Earth, so
I was torn with this deck because when I did play against it, there was like with the deck that I was playing, there was nothing I could do. You'll see the deck next, which was Barrel Eye, but that was because it was a meme deck. And then as soon as I like put on Rampair, I knew where I was going with the early Neo X Death. I was like, I'm not too fussed about it coming down early. I had Veritas. We could get Veritas back, so it was. This is the problem with the Neo X Death is that it hurts meme decks. It doesn't hurt meta decks, and that's the problem. And I've said to Peter previously that it reminds me of Dadaluma, that this card is a problem because it stops creativity. Like, if this comes up against walls, I think it's going to destroy the walls quite easily. And that means that walls is just dead in the water just before it even got started. So I don't know. I'm just really torn about this. It's more the Neo X Def than the Prish.
Yes, I think I would do something without Neo X Def. But I mean, this is a way of supporting Neo. I've seen a lot of like the water, people playing like water to support Neo X Def, but actually the Earth is quite quite strong, really. And also, what we're doing, I'll call out the new Fenrir, because that is the 5-drop Fenrir summon is quality. Particularly, I was worried they wouldn't have enough targets for the backup breaking, but I mean, what we were doing, those games we were playing, so Mitch, you were dropping like, was it Mitsuki or Mont Blancs and stuff as your first turn, and then I would drop in a Neo X Def and play a backup, but because of the Earth recycling, the next turn I was able to, like, because I'd paid with the cryo, I was paying with the Prish, you can then Fenrir break the backup on like turn 2 and have 2 forwards out, one of which is Prish, which is going to come back and give you 3 cards from hand when it dies anyway, and it basically just wrecked you after like 2 turns. Because the first turn you couldn't really deal with Neo X Def, but then I'd just broken your backup as well, and you were dead basically, like just scooped. So yeah, but Fenrir is cool. I don't think X Def is that fun and cool, but that Fenrir is wicked. Very cool backup. Just remember, you can't pay with the forwards that you recycle. It has to be in there already. I think I might get 2 Fenrir for my Fire Earth. I mean, yeah, play this Fenrir. It's quality. Fire Earth is that
The
FF7.
foil Fenrir looks beautiful.
I got a full art Fenrir.
Foil is amazing.
I don't really like
Is it
full
full art as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes with full art as well.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I don't normally like full arts, but I got this one, and it's wicked. It's well cool. It's a really cool. It's a new artist for this set, actually, isn't it? I think again, guy can't read it, too blurry, but I think it was a new artist that was commissioned for this set, and it's cool. He's done a wicked job. It looks wicked. So yeah, definitely Fenrir in the Fire Earth 7. What targets would you have for the 2-drop? I suppose if you wouldn't be running that Tifa.
You could run the 2-drop Cloud.
The 2-drop Cloud, yeah. I'm trying to think what my 7 2s
you can get
probably aren't that many.
Shantato, you've got Cryo. I think
Cryo the Cryo,
yeah.
Yeah, that does go in there. That would, definitely would go in there, because you can have all the Beliases in there and stuff and keep tapping Cryo to keep giving your stuff haste and stuff.
And Amaterasu on tap.
Amaterasu on tap, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. No, it's very cool. Right, and then we'll look at the last one, which was Mitch, another one of your ones. So we should have done this with the other Barrel Eye when we looked at YRP, but this is another Barrel Eye deck, but it's Fire Wind Barrel Eye. So again, another little concept. You were talking this up. So it's Fire Wind, Marsh Ritz, Thena, Norse Dallin for your backup consistency. We've got the Class Moogle that taps for ice, and then we've got the Barrel Eye, Riku, and Leon. So I talk us through this fairly quickly. As a concept, I mean, it got stumped by Prish. It also stumped my other decks when we played it the other week, because it's hard. If you can't deal with Barrel Eye, you're going to lose, and that Riku is bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more the idea is like, if you kill a forward, Mitsuki activates, and then that triggers Barrel Eye. So Mitsuki will deal 1k, and then Barrel Eye will deal 3k, and then you can sort of cascade a board wipe just from those 2 cards, and it's quite easy to set up. The only thing you need, like, Mitsuki doesn't have a searcher, that's why it's quite like, it's the only problem with it. But I've run it before without Mitsuki, and you don't need it. It just makes the board clears a lot easier. But like, for example, if you had Barrel Eye on the field and then cast Diabolos and reduced something and activated your backups, or broke something and activated your backups, Mitsuki will trigger off of the broken forward as well as from Diabolos. So then that would do 6k ping across the board. And obviously Mitsuki can also ping twice as well. So as I said, it really is good for setting up the board wipes. And you've got the cheap forwards, Riku and Leon, that are there just to carry, just to help with the Barrel Eye and setting up and stuff like that. And Zidane's very strong with it. Like, you have to answer them, and then Ritz and March, as Tom said, that they can win games by themselves. So it's strong. It's just it needs to get set up, and against a deck that it can't set up against, then it's not very good. So I think there is potential for it to be good as well. It's just it needs like real working on.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I think Barrel Eye has got lots of potential, not just to be a one deck thing, which is what we sort of looked at today. So I think, yeah, if Barrel Eye starts sticking, it will be hard to play against because it's nasty if you can't handle it. I mean, you're not running the Pandemonium either. So with
No, I
Pandemonium,
mean,
Barrel Eye's quite filthy as well.
yeah, that could easily fit into this deck as well. Like, I had Phoenix to get Barrel Eye back, Diabolos. Amaterasu is just because a lot of people were trying to kill Barrel Eye with forwards and stuff like that, and it was a great idea just to be like, keep that in hand while you've played Barrel Eye. And it also triggers, if you kill the forward, then Mitsuki will activate, making Amaterasu like 1 cheaper, but also doing 3k across the board. So as I said, it's got the plays. It's just it has to set up first, and now like against Neo-X Sith, it just can't.
Yeah,
What makes you run the forward Riku over the backup one after you lot had to go at George's deck for doing the same thing?
I run it for that it can, first of all, it activates the backups, but it also is an ice card as well as a win. So I'm
just to help get the Barrel Eye out. Okay,
yeah.
I think the main reason we said about George's deck is because he was relying on the Riku for his YRP stuff, and it probably isn't the best way to do that because it's a bit fragile.
This is a good deck. I was just putting the question out there because I'm
just defending it. We weren't slagging off George. I think it was just for YRP I would play a different Riku, but the Riku card itself,
the Riku name doesn't matter. Yeah, the Riku name doesn't matter. It's like I'm not relying on it being called Riku, which is what some decks do rely on. So
just the activation and also its ice. So.
Yeah, pretty much. Because if I don't see that Moogle, then I'm going to be paying from hand, and I need the ice cards. So
yeah,
and it also helps with Selhetis or whatever it is, that you can remove it because you don't really ever think you're going to get it back. You're not going to get it back off a Phoenix or anything like that.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's call time on the deck. There's a few spicy ones, a few things to think about. I think the idea was really just to spark conversation and give people some ideas. So it's cool. So what we'll finish with is one of our other regular features, which is called
the Haste. There's no Rampair decks.
There's no need to show Rampair. I think everyone knows this.
Honestly, I think it's going to be the best deck. It's going to be the best deck, or if not the best deck.
We were trying to move away. We weren't looking for meta decks. We were looking for ideas and stuff. So lots of different ideas.
We all know Chocobo's going to be the best deck.
There's a thing. I kept asking them for a Chocobo deck.
So good.
I didn't sort one out. Sorry.
I want to see a Chocobo deck. I've seen. I think it's Matthew Rice in America was streaming, and he said he had a Chocobo where he did like 2-turn kills and stuff. Because you could just spam. So I think I'd love to see a Chocobo deck. Looks fun. Bart's Bocco we didn't talk about.
Bart's Bocco.
I think that I'm being told it's quality and like highly broken. So I'd like to see some Bart's Bocco. That's going to be another one. I think at tournaments you're going to be there'll be people running that kind of thing, which will make you sweat and you might struggle a bit. So that'll be interesting to see. And also Earth Wind, which I sort of mentioned. I think there's a very strong Earth Wind deck in the realms. It just needs to be built.
New Yish. Much as Aslan's dismay.
New Yish. There's a few different tools. It was always so consistent as well, Earth Wind. So I think there is definitely a beastly strong Earth Wind deck that needs to be built as well. So maybe there is lots to think about. It's inspired me. I was lacking inspiration, so my own podcast has inspired me, which makes it all worth it. Okay, we'll finish up today with our Haste Takes. So if you have not listened to us before, the Haste Takes section, this is where I ask different members of the panel a question and they have 30 seconds to answer this. I've pulled up a very crappy Google stopwatch here online so you can see. I don't even know how to turn it on. Do you press the button? You can set it. Here we go. Right. Timer is set for 30 seconds. Mitch, you always go first because you're like our most experienced podcast member. Do you want to go? I've got some controversial and I've got some non-controversial. Okay, you can start. We'll start with some controversy because we've got people watching live. So are we
Okay.
ready? I'd normally
Yep.
have little music playing in the background, the FF7 QuickTime theme, but I can't get it to work today. So you just
That
have to
makes me
do without
panic.
it. It does make you panic. Okay, so ready. Your first question is, could Square Enix be doing more to support the player base in the current times?
I mean, it's all dependent on how you consider being supported. Like they're actually doing tournaments. Like you can go onto Discord and play games. So I don't really see what more they can do. Like we're in tough times. There's no like getting around that. So I think they've done the best that they can with the situation that we are in, and it was like wasn't planned either. So it was just out of nothing that they did it.
Okay, you're at time. I just realised I set the timer for 30 minutes. I don't want to talk for 30 minutes. Crikey.
I mean,
don't know if I can go for 30
I like you, Mitch,
we
but
might be able
I
to that long.
I might be able to. You never know.
You definitely can. Okay, right, it's reset. Okay, for you. I was thinking, bloody hell, it's only taken like 15 seconds. But it was like, it was still on like 29. It's like, he's hardly used any time. Okay, Ben, you can go next. Is fire crap again? No, actually, that's a bad way to phrase it. Has fire regressed?
When are we starting now?
Yeah,
What?
it started. I'll reset it for you. Go now.
I don't think it's crap. It's still strong. It's still got Ritz and Marsh. I mean, Ritz is the best card in Fire, and it probably will be for a long time. So, I mean, it's not going to change much, is it? Amaterasu's helped it. It's all good, I think.
Oh, there you go. 20 seconds.
Blah,
Easy.
blah, blah.
Peter, you ready?
Yeah, go for it, buddy.
I need to reset the timer. Do we need a new consistent milling card?
Well, we've got Lani. Lani can mill your opponent's deck, and you can bounce it with Mew, replay Lani, play Althea, replay it. So no, I don't think we need. If you mean a Riku one, no, we don't need that because that was degenerate. So no.
I did sort of mean a Riku one, but not quite as bad as Riku. Oh crap! I've just deleted all my questions. Oh, that's a problem. I've just deleted my notes.
You know, because Control Z.
Control Z. That's a good idea. What does that undo? Oh
Yeah.
no, it's a Google Keep notes. Oh crap! What was my other question? Okay, Mitch, you're up next. I think.
How do I get my questions back?
This is
Actually
actually something someone submitted to us for a Ronso Rage. I've rephrased it as a haystack. Do you think board wipes are too easy now?
Christ, I actually don't know. I don't think so. I think they are more easily accessible, but I think they take a lot of setup other than wind water. But then if board wipes are a big thing that you're worried about, there are cards to counter it like Minmu and stuff like that. So it's not are they more accessible, it's are you willing to run the counters to board wipes if you do think that, and a lot of people aren't.
Oh, the thing's flashing at you. That was 30 seconds. You didn't really answer that.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer was to that.
Okay.
I said I don't think so.
It was like, yeah, but no, but yeah, but no.
I don't know. I can explain it though. I don't think they're too much of a problem. They are. You do see them more, but I don't think they're a big problem. You have counters to it if you do think that. Dumb.
Other than Barreleye, what board wipe decks are you referring to though? Because like Wind Water is the only one I can think of. I can't think of any other thing. So
I mean, I wasn't referring to anything. Someone said, as a Ronso Rage, could you say that board wipes are too easy now? And I said, well, it sounds more like a haystack. But then
it sounded like a Barreleye hate post.
It sounded like a Barreleye hate post to me.
Because there's that new Bahamut, which that's not going to be relevant. I don't. No.
No, I don't think the Bahamut will be. It might be quite fun, but I don't think it'll be that relevant. But yeah, anyway, I've lost the question, so I'm going to have to wing this one. So Ben, I think this is what the question was. You can have this one. So, how much? I mean, what's the best way to word this? With Neo X Def, should that be considered in every deck you build to counter it, or do you think it's not a big deal until you get to a tournament?
Yeah, I think you need to consider. Same with all the cards like this. You know, you definitely need to consider Neo X Def. If you're worried about it personally, just chuck a couple of cards into your deck and have searches for them, really. Shouldn't be worried about it until you get to a big tournament, because your locals should be all your friends anyway. So
Yeah, I think there's 2
Knocking
people
around.
at Calamity looking to play Neo Extif. It might be
Yes,
3
Tom.
if I'm going to bring this
You're
push
Tom.
deck. No, I wouldn't play it. I was going to do it as a meme video to just play it against everyone. I was going to do that as like a funny video that I play turn 1 Extif every turn.
Funny
For
Yeah,
like the
watch
viewers.
how many times I can play Neo Extif in one
but
tournament.
The reason I didn't do it is because I had a feeling that everyone was going to run it anyway, because we're that kind of team. But turned out, I think only one person did. But yeah, I imagine people are going to play it at Calamity, so it might be something we need to consider.
I think George might play it now after you lot just teared apart his deck.
Probably, yeah. And
I feel bad now. I don't think we teared it apart. I don't think
No,
we teared
I'm
it apart.
joking. I'm
I can see
joking.
Alan changing his Sephiroths for X-Def as we speak in that mono ice. But yeah, cool. Right, Peter, you got the last one. This one's around multi-elements. So should we be adding multi-element cards to all of our decks now?
I think the ones we got were so powerful that, yeah, if you're playing those elements, yeah, you should definitely be thinking about including them in your build. I think Lock is amazing. Celtius is amazing. Ice Fire, yeah, we'll go on, couldn't we? Yeah, they're amazing. I hope we get more multi-elements in the future, if that is what the route they're going down. Very strong.
Cool, well done. No problem. Again, Mitch, you always go first because you're most experienced, but the others are always better. Cool. Okay.
I'd like to see some multi-element monsters. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I would like some good monsters.
Yeah.
Like I could talk.
Yeah.
I could rage about monsters, Tom. Oh my
really?
god, could I rage about?
Maybe we'll do that next time. You can rage about monsters.
They always get gypped, and it's pissing me
poor
off.
monsters. We love Realm, so yeah.
Have we still only had one hero monster and no legends?
I don't know.
There's definitely no
I think
legends.
Two hero, no, 3 maybe now.
Oh no, yeah, we've got Death Gaze, Ozma.
Yeah, the fire. What's his name? What's the fire?
Oh,
The tomato.
Hmm?
The big tomato one.
Yeah, something like that. Flaming tomato,
I can't
or
remember
whatever
what
it's called.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce her name, but when Quacho, how do I pronounce her name? Quacho Queen or
Quattro
whatever.
Queen, yeah.
Quattro Queen. Okay, I got spoiled. I was quite excited because I was like, oh, they're going to bring another monster in that's similar to like Crit, Bablis and Zapped and that. And I was like, oh. And even if it was in water, I was like, that'd be quite cool. But no. And yeah, like Gilgamesh as well, like came out, good legend, but then the card that they spoil, the same cost, and you can either make it a 9k body or get Gilgamesh effect. You're never going to play it. You're always going to play Gilgamesh. It just, there's no incentive for monster to build a monster around any. It's just annoying, so annoying.
Maybe they're coming next set because obviously Fenrir is set up to break monsters, and there's not much monster break around, so there may be something
Lock
coming.
breaks monsters too as well. Yeah,
good call. Maybe it's a precursor to the next set.
We're going to get
no.
forward or a backup that supports monsters. And
if you're not called Rain, you're a shit Wolf character because you got Quattro Queen, and what's that one that taps mirror that taps to make your backups fucking forwards? It's like they're fancy effects, but they're shit. Like no one can make a deck out of them, and you can always say, "Oh yeah, it's going to be good down the line," but until I see it, they're going to be bad.
Well, I did say down the line, we might get some more monsters, which will be desperate for all the monster break.
Fine, maybe I'll do a Ronto Rage about Wolf characters that aren't Rain and Milan.
Yeah, you could just make a Wolf monster deck, couldn't you? I mean, there's so many monsters in that game, and yet there's hardly any of them being brought out as cards. So
what you're saying is there should be more people looking at the lore of the games.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
Spread the character base.
Maybe some more FF8 characters as well.
There's lots of monsters in FF8.
Yeah, we brought that up.
Do you know what? Actually, speaking of monsters, I would love to see a big proper Marlborough. Because Marlborough, if you're fans of, I know Pete, you don't really play the games, but if you're fans of Final Fantasy, there's always a big Marlborough monster, and they're absolute nightmare to kill. They're super
the first one you run across will like be deadly to you. Pretty much.
they're like HP sappers. They have like cast every effect on your character, like bad breath and stuff. So I'd love to see a proper Marlborough because the current ones are not
a legend Marlborough.
Legend Marlborough.
Calling it. Let's do it.
Actually, do you remember we were making cards for the Mogpod thing? We were going to do like a card created episode.
Yeah,
and I made a Marlborough, which was a beast. Maybe we'll do that next time. Make a monster. We'll have a
I've never used that.
It's fun.
Card creator thing.
It's fun. All right, we'll do that for next time. Everyone make a monster. Make a monster for next time. We'll leave people in suspense. But yeah, and in terms of multi-element, I think we are missing some obvious combinations. So I think Earth, Fire. We'll probably get some next set.
How are they going to do it? Are they going to do it still the same way, or do you think, or?
I would imagine they'll just have the same number in the set, but with new combinations. Yeah, we've had Icewind, didn't we? So it would be, Earth, Fire is an obvious one. Wind, Fire would be another obvious one.
If they do it, they'll do like Earth, Fire, then Ice, Lightning, then Wind, Water.
We've had Ice, Lightning, Wind, Water.
Wind, Water. Yeah, that's going to be fun for the multi-element.
Oh no!
Wind, Water.
It will be, won't it?
Wind, Water, Legend Marlborough.
That actually got me. Wind,
Water, Legend Marlborough, and it will work with Una as well if you control Una. Deal your opponent 5 points of damage. Yes, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for Opus 13. Don't let us down, Kageyama-san. Cool. Well, on that note, we've gone over our time that we wanted to do, so we'll call a cool time on today's podcast. So thank you for those people that joined us live. If you're watching on YouTube on demand, thank you as well, and obviously on our podcast listeners, thanks very much. I'll try and post the links to all the decks, except I think I've just deleted them from my Google Keep. So if I find them, I'll post them in the comments or on the thing. But otherwise, we'll be back another couple of weeks with another episode of the podcast. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.